The question struck Lisa Rodriguez like the 18-wheeler that had changed her life forever. Standing at the Family Feud podium in her wheelchair, wearing her favorite blue sweater, she felt the familiar emptiness where her arms used to move freely. The studio lights illuminated the tears that had become her constant companions for the past 8 months. "What do you miss most?" Steve Harvey had asked, and those 4 simple words opened a wound that refused to heal. Lisa's eyes moved instinctively toward the audience, where her mother sat holding 2-year-old Diego, the little boy who no longer reached for his mama. The silence stretched as Lisa tried to find words for a loss too profound to explain. It was Thursday afternoon at the Family Feud studios in Atlanta. The Rodriguez family had made the difficult journey from El Paso, Texas, hoping that this trip might bring some joy back into their lives. Lisa's wheelchair had been a challenge to navigate through the studio, but the production team had worked to accommodate her. The game had started, with the usual energy and excitement. The Rodriguez family was competing against the Chen family from California, and Steve was working his magic with the crowd. But when the question about missing things came up, everyone could see that Lisa was struggling with something deeper than game show nerves. 8 months ago, Lisa had been driving home from her job as a kindergarten teacher when the accident happened. An 18-wheeler ran a red light and slammed into the driver's side of her car. She'd woken up in the hospital 3 weeks later, paralyzed from the shoulders down, unable to feel or move her arms. The doctors had been gentle but direct. The damage to her spinal cord was complete and irreversible. She would never regain movement in her arms or hands. For most people, this would be devastating enough. But for Lisa, the cruelest part was watching her toddler son slowly forget that she was his mother. "Hugging my baby," Lisa whispered into the microphone. Her voice carried the weight of 8 months of watching Diego pull away from her, confused by why Mama couldn't pick him up anymore. The studio fell completely silent as everyone processed the heartbreak in those 3 words. Steve's expression immediately changed. He'd been hosting long enough to recognize when someone was carrying pain that went far beyond what most people could imagine. This wasn't just about missing something, this was about losing the most fundamental connection between a mother and her child. "Tell me about your little boy," Steve said gently, stepping closer to Lisa's wheelchair. The cameras captured every emotion crossing her face as she prepared to share the story that had been breaking her heart day by day. The audience leaned forward, sensing they were about to hear something profound. "His name is Diego," Lisa said, her voice growing stronger with love. "He's 2 years old, and he used to run to me every day when I came home from work." She paused, looking toward the audience where Diego sat on his grandmother's lap, playing with a toy truck and completely unaware of the conversation about him. "Before the accident, I was everything to him," Lisa continued. "When he got hurt, he wanted Mama's hugs. When he was scared, he crawled into my arms. When he was tired, I carried him to bed every night." The pain in her voice was evident to everyone in the studio. Steve waited patiently as Lisa gathered the strength to continue with the hardest part of her story. The cameras stayed focused on her face, capturing every emotion. "Now he doesn't come to me anymore," Lisa said, tears flowing freely. "When he falls down, he runs to Grandma. When he's scared, he hides behind my sister. When he needs comfort, he goes to anyone but me. He doesn't understand why Mama can't hold him." The simple statement hit everyone in the studio like a physical blow. Here was a mother watching her child's love slowly slip away because she couldn't offer the physical comfort that defines the relationship between a mother and her toddler. Steve Harvey made a decision that would define this moment forever. He looked toward the audience and then back at Lisa. "Where is Diego right now?" he asked, though he could already see the little boy sitting with his grandmother. "He's with my mom in the audience," Lisa replied. "She takes care of him now because She couldn't finish the sentence. The reality of her new limitations was still too painful to put into words completely. Behind the scenes, Steve signaled to the production team. What he was about to do had never been attempted on Family Feud before, but some moments transcended television, and this was clearly one of them. "Lisa," Steve said, his voice carrying the weight of something important about to happen. "Would you like Diego to come up here with you?" The question was simple, but Lisa's reaction showed how much it meant to her. "He won't come to me," Lisa said sadly. "He's afraid of the wheelchair. He doesn't understand why Mama looks different now, why I can't pick him up like I used to. He thinks I'm broken." The words came out as barely a whisper, but they carried the weight of a mother's worst fear, that her child might stop loving her because she couldn't be the same kind of mother she used to be. Steve walked toward the audience and approached Lisa's mother, who was holding Diego. The little boy was indeed playing with his truck, completely absorbed in making engine noises. He was beautiful, dark hair, bright eyes, and the kind of innocent joy that only toddlers possess. "Mrs. Rodriguez," Steve said to Lisa's mother, "would it be okay if Diego came up on stage with his mama?" The grandmother's eyes filled with tears as she nodded. She'd been watching her daughter's heartbreak for months. Seeing how Diego's natural childhood behavior was devastating Lisa, Steve gently took Diego from his grandmother's arms. The little boy looked up at this tall, friendly man with curiosity rather than fear. "Hey there, little man," Steve said softly. "Want to go see Mama?" Diego looked toward the stage where Lisa sat in her wheelchair. For a moment, he seemed hesitant, as if trying to reconcile this version of his mother with his memories. But something in Steve's gentle manner made him feel safe. As Steve carried Diego toward the stage, the entire studio watched in silence. This wasn't entertainment anymore. This was about healing a relationship that had been broken by circumstances beyond anyone's control. Every parent in the audience could feel the weight of what was happening. "Diego," Steve said, as they reached Lisa. "Look who's here. It's Mama." The little boy looked at Lisa with the kind of careful attention that children use when they're trying to understand something complicated. Steve knelt down next to Lisa's wheelchair, still holding Diego. "You know what, little man? Mama loves you so much. She wants to hug you, but her arms don't work the same way they used to. But her heart works exactly the same." Steve's words were simple enough for a 2-year-old to understand, but profound enough to help Diego begin to see his mother differently. What happened next would become one of the most beautiful moments in television history. Steve gently placed Diego on Lisa's lap, positioning him so that he was facing his mother. At first, Diego seemed uncertain, but then something clicked. "Mama," Diego said softly, looking into Lisa's eyes. It was the first time in months that he had sought her out voluntarily, the first time he had come to her instead of away from her. Lisa began to cry, but these were tears of joy mixed with sorrow. "Hi, baby," she whispered. "Mama loves you so much. I'm sorry I can't hold you like I used to, but I love you just the same." Steve positioned himself behind them, creating a protective circle around mother and child. "Diego," he said gently, "can you give Mama a hug with your little arms? You can be Mama's arms today." The little boy wrapped his small arms around Lisa's neck. For the first time since the accident, mother and child were connected again. Lisa couldn't feel the physical sensation of the hug, but emotionally, it was everything she had been missing. "I can't feel his arms around me," Lisa whispered to Steve, "but I can feel his love." The distinction was beautiful and heartbreaking at the same time. Physical sensation was gone, but the emotional connection was being restored. Steve stayed close, helping to facilitate this reunion between mother and son. "Lisa," he said, "you're still his mama. Your arms might not work, but your heart works perfectly. That's what he needs most." The audience was openly crying as they watched this intimate moment unfold. Many parents were holding their own children tighter, realizing how precious and fragile these simple physical connections really are. "Can you sing to him?" Steve suggested. "Maybe a song you used to sing before bedtime?" Lisa's face lit up at the suggestion. Music was something she could still share with Diego, something the accident couldn't take away. Lisa began to sing a soft Spanish lullaby, the same one she'd sung to Diego every night since he was born. "Duérmete mi niño, duérmete mi amor." Her voice was gentle and full of love, and Diego settled into her lap as he recognized the familiar melody. As she sang, Diego's body relaxed against hers. The tension and confusion that had defined their relationship since the accident began to melt away. He was remembering that this was his mama, wheelchair or no wheelchair. Steve watched this reunion with tears in his eyes. In 40 years of television, he had never witnessed anything like this healing moment between a mother and child. The power of love to overcome physical limitations was being demonstrated in real time. When the song ended, Diego looked up at his mother with new understanding. "Mama," he said again. This time with the kind of recognition and love that Lisa had been missing for 8 months. "Yes, baby, I'm Mama," Lisa said, kissing the top of his head, one of the few physical gestures she could still perform. "I'll always be your mama, even if I'm different now." Steve made another unprecedented decision. He called for the cameras to keep rolling as he facilitated an extended moment between mother and son. Television schedules didn't matter when healing was happening. "Lisa," Steve said, "Diego doesn't need you to pick him up to know you're his mama. He needs you to love him, to sing to him, to be there for him. And you can do all of those things. Your love isn't in your arms, it's in your heart." The wisdom of Steve's words wasn't lost on anyone in the studio. He was helping both Lisa and Diego understand that their relationship could survive this devastating change. The production team had abandoned any thought of continuing the game normally. This moment was bigger than television, bigger than entertainment. They were witnessing a family healing in real time. As Diego settled more comfortably in Lisa's lap, Steve shared something personal. "You know, Lisa, I've learned that being a parent isn't about what you can do with your hands. It's about what you can do with your heart. And your heart is perfect." His words carried the authority of someone who understood that the most important aspects of parenting have nothing to do with physical ability. Behind the scenes, the other family members were crying as they watched this reunion. Lisa's mother, who had been carrying the burden of caring for both Lisa and Diego, felt a weight lift from her shoulders as she saw the connection being restored. The episode would later be edited to focus primarily on this moment, with the game show elements taking a backseat to the human story that had unfolded. It became less about entertainment and more about education, showing the world that disability doesn't diminish a parent's love. 6 months after the taping, Lisa and Diego had rebuilt their relationship completely. She learned new ways to interact with him, and he learned that Mama's love came in different forms now. Their bond became even stronger than before the accident. Lisa began speaking at hospitals and rehabilitation centers, sharing her story with other parents who had suffered similar injuries. Her message was simple: your children need your love, not your physical abilities. The response from other families was overwhelming. Diego, now 2.5, has become his mother's helper in ways that amaze everyone who meets them. He's learned to climb carefully into her wheelchair for hugs, and he's appointed himself as her little arms when she needs help with small tasks. The relationship between Lisa and Diego became a model for other families facing similar challenges. Social workers began sharing their story with newly injured parents, showing them that the parent-child bond could survive and even thrive after devastating physical changes. Today, Lisa works as an advocate for disabled parents, helping to create resources and support systems for families navigating similar challenges. Her accident had taken away her ability to teach in a traditional classroom, but it had given her a different and perhaps more important mission. The wheelchair that had initially seemed like a barrier between Lisa and Diego became just another part of their daily life. Diego learned to see it not as something that made Mama different, but as Mama's special chair that helped her get around. Because some hugs don't require arms, and some love doesn't need physical touch to be felt completely. Lisa Rodriguez thought the accident had taken away her ability to be a real mother to Diego, but she learned that motherhood lives in the heart, not in the hands. Their relationship became proof that love adapts, overcomes, and finds new ways to flourish, even when everything seems lost. The miracle that happened on that Thursday afternoon in Atlanta reminds us that the most important connections between parents and children aren't physical, they're emotional, spiritual, and unbreakable. Lisa's paralysis couldn't paralyze her love, and Diego's confusion couldn't diminish his need for his mama. Sometimes the greatest healing happens when we stop focusing on what we've lost and start appreciating what remains unchanged.